Hello my lovely friends and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Joanna, but you can call me Jo because you're probably going to see me cry in this video, so we might as well be best friends. I bought this book 11 months ago. It was £1 in a charity shop. This is your reminder to shop in charity shops for books. It's so much cheaper and it's the same words. I finally decided to read it. It has exactly 701 pages. This is a big boy. Scissor needs a big boy? This is a big boy. And I, like most people, have big book fear. But I've heard so much about it and I really just want to be able to participate in the topics of conversation that this book brings up. And it's also my 10th book of the year, so I thought I'd go for a big one. I hope you enjoy seeing me cry.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
I've had a lovely evening of self-care, and I am now going to purposely ruin that by reading this book. I have no idea what it's about, but everyone who reads it seems to get emotionally destroyed, and you know, I'm up to have a good cry. It's been a while. The only thing I do know is that it focuses on the T word. I've been avoiding it like the plague because I just didn't think I was in a good mental state to read it. I think I'm okay now. It's a lot, but we're gonna do it anyway. Let's get into it!
The very next evening.
Okay, day one of reading A Little Life complete. I have read exactly 100 pages. We've met the four characters, which are Malcolm, Jude, Willem and JD, and you can tell that they really care for each other and that they've been friends for a really long time. Through this you kind of learn a little bit of each of their backgrounds, except Jude. He is clam, nothing getting out of him. You can kind of understand that they all play a role within their friendship, which is really fun, and it's cool to see the dynamics that they play when they're all together. I actually believe it's Jude who outlines the way he sees them and like their personalities and how they form into a group, which I think was quite a nice little touch by the author. So far it's been just bros being bros and I love it. I think they have a really sweet and actually quite solid friendship. I think the foundation's really good. It's really well written in the fact that you get the sense that although they really do care for each other and they love each other, there are also some of quirks that some characters don't particularly enjoy about the other person. In terms of the writing, I'm really enjoying it so far. The pace is good because it's not super slow. And it keeps you intrigued. Speaking about intrigue, I need Jude to... Let me in! Let me in! I need to know what happened to him, basically. But it's so well written in terms of the reasons he gives as to why he doesn't want to expose these parts of himself. You know, these are his secrets, and it's difficult when you go through a trauma, especially in the childhood, when you're not aware of the fact that it's not typical. I just think it was a really lovely way to talk about, well, maybe not lovely, lovely might be the wrong word. I think it was quite an insightful way to talk about coming to the realization that what happened in your childhood was not normal and was not okay. I can already sort of tell where it's going, not in terms of like specifics, but there's a lot of foreshadowing. I think the phrase, looking back on it now, I see that that was not bleep, has been used about 3 times so far. So clearly there's going to be a bigger event, or events maybe, that then the characters will look back on and sort of regret their actions leading up to it. I suppose with the way Jude talks about his childhood as well, you can already tell bad stuff has happened, but because the other characters aren't aware of this, you just know something might happen to make them aware of this, if you get what I mean. I think because we're only being sort of given crumbs about the characters' backgrounds, that also keeps things quite interesting, because any little sign of interest, I'm like, ooh, keep that in here. And I'm excited to get to the part of the book where that seed that was planted actually has sprouted. I'm a bit scared that Hanya is building up this lovely friendship and she's gonna endear me to them and I'm gonna care for them, and then something bad is going to happen.
I'm in danger!
As I've read exactly 100 pages, it just means that I've read the first part and I'm about, I want to say, 15 pages into the second part, which is called The Postman, and you can already tell that I am being dramatic and I'm worrying way too much and I'm taking everything out of context, because when I saw The Postman I was like, we're getting bad news.
Okay. Early the next morning.
Hi everyone, so it's day 2 of me reading A Little Life and I finished part 2 today. So I'm just going to ramble at you in terms of sort of everything that happens, but in the most non-spoiler way I possibly can. Part 2 is from the perspective of Jude, which is the character that we really didn't know much about, but we could kind of tell that something had happened to him. Even though this part by itself is about 100 pages, we still don't know exactly what has happened to him, but you can kind of start to put the pieces together. There's loads of little nuggets of information.
I am going to get to the truth.
I'm picking up what Hanya is putting down. Seems like a horrible series of events that have happened to Jude throughout his life. But I really enjoyed this part. It was great to sort of understand how his mind works and get to see a little bit more insight on how he views his friends, how he views his life, and how he views himself. Throughout the chapter we meet lots of important characters in Jude's life and we understand sort of where they fit and how in different ways they're all trying to help him. What I would really want for Jude is for him to take his issues into his own hands and maybe get some help, but I think we kind of understand he's not ready to process all that, which is totally understandable. Most of his trauma is unspoken. You do get some sad bits in here. You see the sort of the content that we are warned about. It does get a little bit graphic. You do get to see a little bit more about the friendships, and especially you get to see sort of the annoyance that sometimes he has with his friends. And you understand why. You know, these people have known him for many years and they still don't actually know the cause of why he is the way he is. And you can tell that they sometimes press him a little bit too hard, which obviously is going to make him want to run in the opposite direction. It's totally normal. So I think that's really well done. It's a very realistic depiction of what dealing with trauma is like. I think that was a really good and smart decision on Hanya's part, because it was great to learn a little bit more about Jude. I was on TikTok earlier, as one does, and I saw a video sort of talking about A Little Life, and I went to the comments because I could tell it was all non-spoiler, and everyone said that after The Postman, stuff starts to go downhill. And I don't know, I thought it was kind of funny, considering yesterday I was actually telling you that as soon as I saw The Postman, I got worried because I thought, oh, bad stuff is going to happen, bad news is being delivered. Turns out, really, throughout most of this chapter, in the present tense, so not when Jude is talking about his past, it's quite positive, except obviously sort of the moments where he's alone, then you can kind of understand that he's really he's in the trenches, basically. But he gets really good news, and I wanted to feel happy, because it's great news, but Jude and I kind of had the same worry, which is this happiness isn't going to last long, and unfortunately, because I saw those comments, I know that's true. So I'm bracing myself. I'm ready for this to go downhill and for me to cry probably, definitely.
The next morning.
Heyo. So, it's day 3. I'm currently on page 267. I think ultimately I'd like to get to 300, but I think I could do that. So, I might push myself and at least try to do 100 pages, so 360. If I can make it to 400, that would be cool, because it kind of means that I am somewhat ahead of schedule. The way I'm looking at it is maybe like 100 pages per day. I'm enjoying it. It's a great book. I think it's written really well, and all the characters are starting to come to life. It's sort of like a mosaic, and it's all falling into place for me. I don't know, I'm not compelled to sit down for hours on end and just read. I reckon potentially the subject matter is just a little bit heavy and something that I don't read very often. When I was in my Tumblr era, like absolutely, I consumed a lot of media like this. But recently, as a 25-year-old, I haven't really delved into this realm. So that might be a reason, maybe? I'm not sure. But I think I've done a decent dent so far. So I do want to continue with it because I am, like I said, I am enjoying it. I think today is going to be a full-on rest day for me whilst destroying my mental health by reading a book.
Many unbearable hours later.
It's so cold. I have my trusty robe on, which is providing warmth and comfort because I've just got to a bit and I just kind of want a character. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to get my aggression out because I want to, like, stomp on this bitch. So, update. I am currently on page 322, and ironically enough, I'm actually in that state that I was mentioning that I hadn't gotten into, which is just being so absorbed and just reading.
It's gonna be so bad.
Do you want to just go home?
Yeah.
All right, go home.
So, after many close calls, it's finally happened. I've composed myself now, but oh, that was really rough. I hate crying when I'm reading, because it just feels like such an empty cry. Like, you've read it, you cried, and then afterwards you just kind of have to, like, process all the feelings, but you just kind of have tears running. I'm going to keep going, because I am enjoying the flow that I have currently. No more tears.
5 minutes later.
What the fuck?
Do I look like I give a f? Because I don't.
Well, my composure lasted for about 5 minutes. Not even. It's horrible. It's so sad. I need to pick me up. I'm gonna make a hot chocolate. Bye.
Later, in the void.
I've taken a little break. Hot chocolate did wonders. I'm worried. I'm trying so hard to hide how worried I am, but it'll be fine. So, just read the first chapter of the 4th section, which destroyed me. It was really well written, but yep, that's all. So now we're gonna go on to chapter 2 of that section, which is page 341. So, I'm actually you know, getting to the goal I wanted. I think I'll read as much as I can today, have tomorrow as sort of a reset day, and then continue powering on Thursday. So yeah, I'll probably try to get to 400 today. I think that's an achievable goal, hopefully. I guess we'll see.
2 hours later.
Hello, besties. So I have hit my goal for the day, and it's 2:29, which means I am halfway through, officially. 50% of the book done, completed, slept. I haven't cried again, which is an accomplishment. I just wanted to sort of update you guys on my favourite characters so far. I think at the moment it's Harold. I love this man. He's such a great character and a great example of found family, which I love. It always pulls at my heartstrings. And I like when we're inside his head. You can just feel the pain he feels in regards to his past, but also his present, and the parallels between those two times in his life, and yet he's not resentful in any way. But yeah, love Harold. I love Willem too. I'm hoping we will get either a section or a chapter where we're back in Willem's head. I just love the way he's written, and I love the way he thinks. And I miss him. We're halfway. Feels like a huge accomplishment. So I'm just gonna keep on keeping on.
346 minutes later.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so... oh, bye. Oof. We got to the backstory. I'm sure there's more to come. It's just so sad. And the same patterns are just occurring within Jude's life. And it's really tough to watch, because like I said, we care about him now. And it's all... bleh. The next section is called The Happy Years. And for whatever reason, I don't quite believe that. I sure hope they are.
Trauma, generational trauma, trauma, rage and trauma.
Hanya and I have different definitions of the word happy. I'm struggling. But I have read 300 pages today. So I'm leaving off on page 562.
Several song-filled hours later.
Hey everyone! Today I read the 70-ish pages of the last chapter of The Happy Years. And, I'm upset. I could tell this was coming. I am upset to the point, as you can tell, I literally just got up from having a nap because that's how annoyed that made me. I think this is a big criticism that I've always kind of encountered when people told me about this book, which is the fact that it feels like torture porn. That every few pages is another heart-wrenching event that you, as the reader, have to digest. And I really hope with The Happy Years that we have reached the end of his... I'm not going to say suffering, because that will probably be continuous, but at least I hope that we have now learnt his backstory, and that there's not much else. I know people can have lots of bad things happen to them, but it does just seem like it's all just kind of fallen on Jude, and you know, how much can just one person take? I don't know, but annoyingly I don't think it's going to stop. I'm really terrified for the last 100 pages. I'm going to finish it today because I started it last Friday, today's Thursday, and the 2 days I didn't really read were Sunday and yesterday. So let's go. pages left. 2 pages left. Do this. God.
There's people that are dying.
Oh my god. What the fuck? Oh my god. Okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's fine. Everything's fine.
A few moments later.
I have 1 more page to go and I want to stop now. Oh, stop it. I threw it too hard. I finished A Little Life. Those 5 last pages just made me an emotional wreck. I'm probably gonna go have a bath and maybe eat some cake to make myself feel better, because the cake is really yummy and I'm upsetty. But yeah, I guess the question is, did I conquer A Little Life or did A Little Life conquer me? Anyways, 10th book of the year. Done. Cheers everyone.
Several days later.
I finished this book about 7 days ago. I was meant to film this the day afterwards, but I genuinely could not process what I read and I genuinely couldn't make my mind up. The only thing I was quite definitive on was my rating. So I decided to go for 4.5 stars on this. I very rarely go for a 0.5, but I'm not sure. I loved this book, but I just knew it wasn't quite a 5-star read for me. The first reason is that it did take me a little while to get into the flow of the book. I, right off the bat, loved the characters and I felt endeared to them, but I just wasn't flowing as I usually do. My second reason is, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I'm not sure. Obviously I know when you're writing fiction a lot of the tropes will already exist, it's hard to be sort of fully original nowadays I suppose, but there was just a tiny little sliver of me that at some points felt like I was reading fan fiction.
You better watch out, you better watch out, you better watch.
And I want to say, it wasn't Wattpad fanfiction, it was AO3. My AO3 girlies know. So, you know, it's fine. I don't know if it was the writing or if it was just the topics themselves, which, again, are used really heavily in fanfiction for no reason other than to make you care for the characters. And I suppose I felt like that was also the case in this book. Like I mentioned, I do know that a lot of people criticise this book because of like the torture porn aspect of it. I didn't think... That didn't really put me off, I'll be honest, because I didn't quite think it was torture porn. I think as readers, and just with the discussion around this book anyways, we know what we were getting into, I suppose. That's why I had to like really mentally prepare myself for it, because I wasn't sure if it would be a good read when I wasn't in a good state of mind. I know that, you know, bad stuff does happen to people, but like I mentioned previously, it did feel like there was just a vendetta on Jude the whole time. And yeah, it was really tough to read. I also read this really quickly. I think I read this in about 4 or 5 days, which, granted, was my decision and my doing, but it might have been a bit much, potentially. So now on to the positives, which I sort of already sprinkled throughout the video. Loved the characters. Positive number 2 was I really enjoyed the writing, seeing the perspectives of different characters, and the fact that as soon as it was a different character speaking, you could tell. And I also think it's impressive that no matter who we were following, I felt bad for them. Another positive for me was the journey we went through in this book. There's no actual dates in this book, so the fact that it was still a digestible and understandable structure, and that you actually saw the beginning, middle and end, considering the only way we really saw the passage of time was through sort of events and their birthdays. So it's a 50-50 on if I would recommend it. I think it would really depend on the person. Is it well written? Yes, absolutely. Do you like the characters because they're not one-dimensional and they make mistakes and they're human? Yes, absolutely. Is this really daunting and a lot? Yes. If you do want to read this book, prepare yourself for it, do your research, read it in your own time, and, you know, if you have to take breaks, you know? There's no shame in that, because it is very heavy. And it's also literally quite heavy, it's a thick book. But yeah, I'm proud of myself for reading it. I had a good time with it, despite all the crying and the tragedy of the book itself. I got what I wanted out of it. I went into this book wanting to feel stuff, I wanted to cry, and I got that. If you want a good cry, I have the book for you. How did A Little Life make you feel? Just Florence Pugh frown. It's a good book, but it's just so sad. So yeah, I think that wraps up my thoughts and feelings and emotions on A Little Life. I hope you had a good time watching this video, and I wanted to thank you all for watching. I think this is probably going to be my first ever video. And yeah, I'm just a little bit nervous. But yeah, I had a good time. Read it, but only if you are okay to do so. That's my advice. Okay. Bye, thank you.